Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Friday, it's March 27th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And not a lot happening today. I mean, for whatever reason, from about 11 o'clock until just as I get ready to do the video, we finally broke out of this. I mean, we've just been stuck in that tight range. And I just think it's not worth trading that. I think you're better off to stay out. There's a couple of opportunities here that you might take. And really, the only way to trade that is try to get short at the highs and then try to get long at the lows. And so you need a little bar. You know, this one would have been a good setup. This one, well, it looks like it would have been. It's about as close to the low as you can get. But notice how it broke higher and then turned down and stopped you out and then went up. So it's just so hard to trade those. You just have to have a little tiny bar, or you just have to buy it or sell it blindly. And then eventually something like this right here happens to you and you sell it blindly and look what happens. So um, it's just not, look how flat the EMA, look at all the overlap. For whatever reason, the market died until now. This is probably people just giving up and exiting. Maybe there's still a lot of people short. I don't know. Um, but anyway, not to get off on a tangent with that, but it's just not very easy to trade that stuff right there. I mean, it can be done, but you got to really be wanting to trade badly to get in that. There's a few trades here that we'll talk about. One other thing I'm kicking around since the weather, we're getting to springtime, close to summer, and I've been kicking this idea around is that I may start to where I only do the videos Monday through Thursday. I may stop doing them on Friday and leaving early and taking off. I like to play golf and get out while the weather's good, and um, so I'm hadn't decided. I may not do it every Friday if I don't have anything planned. I may do one anyway. So just thought I'd throw that out there. I'm kicking it around, and also I wanted to say I just want to show this. Um, this is yesterday's chart. Or yesterday's channel. Notice that it's still in play today. You can see that it's still in play. And I wanted to show that. I showed that to the group early this morning. And the only reason it's still there is that I forgot to close my chart when I left last night. So when I came in, it was there. And you could see prices were still playing off of that midline and these lows. It's not perfect, but it's still coming into play. This is really the first break of this bigger channel. We overshot it here. And what usually happens when you get an overshoot, you finally get the break. And now we're working on the new high, and heck, we may get it today before this thing. We still got 30 minutes before the market closes, so we may get it today. Who knows? But I do believe there's another pattern, and generally I do not, let me clarify this, generally I do not look at the previous day's price action and use it in today's, because you can always find everything you need in today's price action. So no, I don't always use it, but I wanted to throw that out there. I showed it in the midday chart on the website. So I wanted to show it in the video today too, and show you how it still came into play and how on the bigger. But I do believe there's probably another pattern here. I believe there is. I was really done before this, but if you put this on there, and that helps explain these bounces, and that might lead you to take these lower trades off this low, and lo and behold, those trades would have worked. So. And if you put this up near the top, it fits pretty well up here. We did get an overshoot right there. So that's why I like to use the current day stuff, although you could see where yesterday's stuff was coming into play. And I bet you if we look, we can find the midline here. And lo and behold, there she is right there. And that's why I tell people, even though you can find stuff from the previous day, now if you see this right here, this makes more sense. Now you understand what's happening. Prices were simply working. Sorry, I had another interruption. But yeah, you can see this makes sense now. This is why I always tell people, there's a reason prices are bouncing around in there. Yeah, it's a range, but what's causing it? And the problem is that we're finding resistance off this side, and we're finding support off this side, and it's just a weak move from the midline over to this trend line. And then notice what happened when it went through the midline here. It's pulled back and tested it, And that's generally what it'll do. It'll either hold and it'll go higher, or it'll keep working and work back through there and come back. I would be kind of surprised if we don't come back and test this breakout area across here. But if this midline holds, we may not, and we may go higher from here, and that's a possibility. And I'm sure there's a short-term trend line right here. So I'm glad we got a chance to talk about this, because this is, this is the kind of stuff I'm thinking as I'm going along. But it was a good opportunity to show you why I generally do not use the previous. And there we go. We come back and we test that, just like I figured we probably would. It's very rare you're going to break out of something like that without coming back and testing it. And we came back and tested it. Now we may work higher again. We'll just have to see. But that's generally what prices do. They test, when they break out of an important area, they're going to come back and test it first. And if it holds, then it may go higher. So interesting stuff there. I'm glad that we got a chance to talk about that and kind of show you that in action as it actually, happened right there in front of us on the chart. So, but I'm going to back on out a little bit more, talk about today's trades, and then we'll go from there. So when I came in, we had this big work down, and we were, prices were correcting here. We had two legs up to the midline, to the EMA, and we had a nice bearish bar right there. If you're here, this is right at the 7 o'clock hour, so you may not have been here yet, but if you were, that's a great setup. It did pull back again, but you can't ignore that big bearish bar on a second entry short after two measured legs up. And if you measure that, I haven't measured it, but I can just look at it that it is very close if it's not exact. And you can see we might have missed it by a tick there. It's so close. So you can enter right there, and if you enter right there and it pulls back and it makes this next second bearish law, and now you got a second entry counting from the high, and you can see how bearish that bar looks as well. Get this one out of the way. Well, it didn't quite close on this low, but it's close enough. And I would add, if I was already in this and not out yet, I would add on here because we're probably going lower. And that's a quick, easy move. Then it pulls back. Now you turn down again. Look how bearish that is. A failed second entry long. Another quick, easy move. But then it bounces here. And notice I circled this one green. If you've been short in here, and if you're still holding a short, it's tough to make a quick reversal like that. But if you missed all this and you see this reverse, you basically had a failed second entry long, and now you've got a double bottom with a slightly higher closes and higher here. When that reversed, you probably want to go long there. There's some reason this is bouncing, and we already have a break of this channel and a new low, so you're kind of looking for a possible reversal. This was so close that I wasn't sure. So at that point, I was still thinking, hey, we're probably going to get a retest of this low. But when we couldn't go lower than that little double bottom right there, and it reverses again, that's telling you something. So if you've got the wherewithal to do that, if you're short, it's really hard. I'll be honest with you. I didn't get that trade, but if I hadn't been short and I looked at it and thought about it, but it's just hard to really switch gears like that. But if you've got the wherewithal to do it, by all means, do it. And then you get a breakout pullback long here. I don't really like that trade, but I like when it broke lower again, and you got that failed second entry short. It traps people, and then it goes higher and breaks out the top. So that's like a double breakout pullback long, a failed second entry short. Several different things going on there. So I like going long there. And if you drew this trend line and drug it up here to the closes, you still had room, a little room left there. So I really like that one. And then it pulls back and you get a second entry long. That confirms that those first two you draw the trend line off of. This confirmed it. Look how it closed right inside there. Look how, that's what you call a big reversal bar. And notice how it closed and opened and just kept going higher. But if you just put your limit order there, it came back, filled you, and took right off again. And quick, easy trade. It was tempting to go long here, but you got a double, triple top there. And if you count this one, it's a bigger double top, a quadruple top almost. There's too big a chance it breaks out and fails. It would have worked, but it does fail and turn down. I mean, it's tempting to go short right there. It really is. But I think you got to wait because there's no break of this trend line yet. but just the bottom falls out of it, and then you get the break and you low, and it reverses. And this one, the reason I like this one was real close to being green, but it's so far away from the EMA. Look how quickly it moved, and then you get the break, the new low, and if you were watching yesterday's trend line, which you probably weren't, because I usually tell people don't put that stuff on there, but that played a part in it too, because this bounce was close right off of that almost for the most part. But I just liked it because it was so far away from the EMA and prices are swinging both ways. Um, so there's a good chance that it's at some point it's going to come back to that EMA. And when you're that far away, the odds are really high on your side. There's enough room to get out between here. So I like that one. I left it blue, even though it's real close. Then we get the break. You know we're probably going back for a retest. Um, and notice how we overshot the midline and then we undershot this one. That's a clue. But I just don't, this signal bar is not very good. And by the time you go along here, you're right at the EMA. You're right back to here. I just don't think you can risk that long. Um, and another thing I want to say about this, notice what happened here. This is a trade where a lot of people are going to try to pick a bottom. If you're going to pick a bottom, this is how you do it. This kind of setup. And notice what this came back just enough to get all the break-even trades. The ES is so efficient. It's just amazingly scary how efficient it is. A lot of people didn't get in the market right here. And so it works its way back and gives all these people a chance to get in. And then look what happens. Once it started going higher, if you did enter there, if your signal bar looks different and you were able to enter there, what do you want to do? You want to measure this leg and you want to look for one, at least that, just like it. And you see it did hesitate right there at that spot, but then it went on higher. And the reason being was because the trend channel line's way up here in the end. This wasn't real clear yet because this was the first two swings. So it may not have been clear to you yet. And it was tempting to go short here, but you don't know that there's not a bigger pattern working in here, and it kind of messes all this up because I wasn't, and there could be still be one there. It's not a very good channel if it is. In fact, it's going to be steeper than that. So that's what I usually do. If I can't find it on one side, I try to find it on the other. And you can see that's probably realistic right there. We've probably just overshot it right here some, and you can see how it kind of gaps over it. Look how it gapped over it right there. I talked about that yesterday when you see those gaps. I mean, I didn't notice that a minute ago, but now look at it. I mean, it's obvious. That's what that is, and that fits. And I had to find it off the upper side. And now it fits right in there. So this is just an overshoot. So this was a little difficult to read right here. But you actually had a failed second entry long here, and that did confirm the trend line. And if you'd have went short there, it would have worked. But that bar I just didn't like it right into this EMA, which you would have had this after this swing here. You should have probably had this. So I didn't like going short right into that. It's right at the EMA. It's kind of no man's land where you could swing either way. But when you got this next failed entry up and it turns back down, and I liked it then. And then you look for a measured move. Again, I haven't measured it, but I can just eyeball it and say, hey, it's going to be real close if it's not exact. And you can see there, we went a little further than that, and then it starts bouncing. And this is actually a two-legged pullback, and it's a double test of that EMA, nice bearish bar. So I like going short there, and then you get another, you actually got a new high there, and it pulls back and goes higher, pulls back. And this is a failed second entry long, and you figure we're headed down here, and so it's not really rangy looking quite yet. You see that, and again, that's not a nice signal bar, but it's a long trap. You figure a lot of people are going to get trapped there, and it shoots down real quickly. And I didn't mark anything after that because I just think this is not worth your time. You might have entered here and here on this, but again, you may not have had this channel. You should have had it by now. I didn't have it, but then again, I wasn't trading really after that point. So I was already done. And so you may not have had that. But once you get these first two swings here at 9:20, you should be looking for a bigger pattern. And but you probably wouldn't have been able to confirm it because it wouldn't have quite fit up here. But so you might have had it a little higher at that point, and you would have had this a little higher. But it still fits. It still works right there. In fact, it might even look better right there. You can see that. It looks just as good right there to me as it does there. So it doesn't matter how you saw it. As long as you get it close, you're going to be there. So, but that's what I'm always telling people, and I'll talk about it more on the midday chart. But a lot of times by 9:30, when I'm trying to post it between 9 and 9:30, that's all you got right there, and it looks real rangy. And you might have this swing here. But you may not know exactly where it's going to be. Usually it's going to be on one of these last swings up here. In fact, it might even be way up here, and there's a midline right here. And I'm guessing there probably is a bigger pattern. It looks just like that, and look at it. It fits perfect. So that's the pattern from yesterday. So it's probably just been adjusted a little bit because remember I had that earlier. It kind of overshot it down up here and down there. So but that looks really good to me right there. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's probably, let's just see how close that is to being a That's not exactly right. This needs to be a little lower, maybe. Let's try it right there. Or actually, this would need to be a little lower. And I probably had that one right. Yeah, it's not 100%, but anyway, it's close in there somewhere. And so I'm guessing there's probably even a bigger pattern there. But, you can play around with this and you can find, trends at all levels. And some people will do that. They'll send me something and say, well, what about this little trend here? And I may not have had that one marked. Like right here, you might could look at this like a spike and a little channel right there. And I guarantee you there's a little pattern right there. You can see it right there. The other line is, so let's just get it out of the way so you can see it. There's a spike and channel right there. And we had a little overshoot and then we broke lower and went higher and then turned down. So, I mean, you can find other patterns on here and you may see them and I may not mark them. So it doesn't mean that you had it wrong. If it might just mean that you're looking at a little different level. But generally you want to find the main ones that I draw on here that are from this level up to this level, and then try to find the main day, which I would call what we had earlier here. That's going to be pretty much today's right there to me, in my opinion. So this might be a little higher here, or maybe this is a little lower. But anyway, I think you get the gist of what I'm getting at here. And that's another thing, if I hadn't said that lately, when you find your midline, it should be dead center between, if you measure one side, the other side should be the exact same. And if it's not, then something is not quite right. You don't quite have your lines right, or something is slightly off, but those should be perfectly equal. I'll see somebody, they'll send me theirs, and the top half will be like that right there, and then the lower half, well, that's not right. That's not a midline right there. There might be something going through there on a different level, but it's going to be an equal distance. So I hope that's clear. And I mean, you may not have to get it exact, but if you played with it enough, you can get it exact. That's the bottom line. And just like I drew the arrow a minute ago, you may have to get your arrow and draw it. And you can see that one's it. That's perfect. And so now I know I got it right. But if you pull yours up and it looks like that, and I see charts come in all the time, it looked like that. And but that's not right. That's not a midline. There might be something there, but it's not your midline. So I hope that's clear. But yeah, just what this wasn't worth. Once we got past this trade right here, um, it wasn't anything much worth looking at. And and that's kind of how I saw it today. So, and you didn't even really need this. Like I said, it would have helped, but you don't need it. I didn't really mark most of these trades based on that channel. But once you have that channel there, it looks a whole lot, it comes in more clearly. It makes sense why you have this right here. And that's what I try to tell people. There's a reason you see these trading ranges. There's a reason you see little congestion right here or right here. And what's happening is you're hung up between the EMA and this, and or you're between or when you get up here, why do you start getting congestion right here? Because you're at the EMA, you're at the trend channel line. There's a reason. There's something there. You just have to kind of figure it out. And price action doesn't just do things for the fun of it. There's reasons, and you have to figure it out. So anyway, hope that was helpful to you today. I hope maybe that kind of going through the chart and showing you how you find the lines and things. Hopefully that was helpful to you. And just wasn't much happening after about 11 o'clock today till late this afternoon. And still we're up and down, up and down, up and down. We had a nice move up, and now we're going to end up closing back down again. So it seems like all the rallies end up, every time we rally nicely, you end up with a big move down. It seems like the moves down are accelerating. So that's not a good sign as far as this bull market we got. Doesn't mean that it can't change at any time, but it seems like every time we get a rally, we get something like this. Once we start selling, the sellers are eager to come in, it seems like. So what does that mean? Well, we won't know for sure, but this leads me to believe that maybe we've topped for a while. So we just have to wait and play it out. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.